Society.
Strangers. Strangers in society.
Strangers on the internet.
The secret.
Strangers.
Society. Oh, welcome, stranger.
Secret to society.
Welcome back to another episode of the Secret Society of Strangers podcast. Lee here with Josh and Jen.
What it do?
We are here to dive into one of our spooky season monster mash monsters, the creature from the Black Lagoon. He is, like we were saying to each other earlier, a little bit of a mystery to me and Josh. I watched the movie when I was much younger and just brushed up on it recently, so I don't have all the ins and outs that I normally do on monsters. So, Jen, it's all on you.
Yeah, since I watch it probably 3 or 4 times a year, I would say. I have the Universal.
Pretty well versed.
Yeah, the Universal movie. Well, the bad thing about watching so many 1950s, 60s, and even beyond the 30s and whatever, is they all start to blend together a bit because the plot lines are a little bit, parallel each other. So.
Not much imagination.
Yeah, they had one or two things on their mind when they were making movies.
Yeah, and everybody met for like 5 minutes, and then they were getting married. By the end, it's a theme. So sometimes I get a bit jumbled up, but this is definitely one of my favorites. So.
Yeah, man. Who doesn't love a misunderstood amphibian that just wants some peace and quiet? But the boatfuls of tourists and scientists can't get no peace.
Disrupting. Exactly.
Oh, you remember those videos from like old YouTube, like old Greg and stuff like that?
Oh, I love old Greg.
One of him and the creature from the Black Lagoon are just like big chilling.
They definitely are. Definitely just hold on to the side of the boat. Like, let old Greg take your hand. All right, but before we dive into this topic, I just want to get a few things out of the way. Everybody that supported us so far, thank you. As always, we really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notifications so you know when we're coming out with a new episode. We talked about doing a little premiere thing. So as we get a little bit more into a routine, maybe we'll start hanging out before the episode's premiere. As well as comment down below if you have a favorite monster. If it's one of the ones we've already done, your vote or your comment will go towards voting for who's going to win this Monster Mash. That's really all I got.
Oh, man, I want to shout out to the new listeners, man. You guys are coming in at a great time. Like, it's all spooky season from here, but we've got an extensive catalog so far. It's a lot of really great stuff out there, so we're enjoying it. We're loving it.
Absolutely.
Loving the interaction and everything. So just keep following us on social medias, hitting that like and subscribe button. It really means a lot.
Absolutely. All right, Jen. It's all you. Let's go.
All right. I think just to set it off, I think we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but I love the creature from the Black Lagoon, but I kind of recognize too, and in my mind, I categorize the creature, or Gillman. You'll probably hear us all use interchangeably. Either way, I switch multiple times when I'm talking about it. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, because I think I had shortened in the notes. It was like CBTL or something. I was like, I'm not typing this.
Do you think like the creature from the Black Lagoon is like his government name, and then he's just like, no, my friends call me Gilman.
Yeah, that could be. I like that. So I'll try and be consistent. I might switch to creature every so often, but I think it stands out, and that this movie has had such staying power because it is a vast departure from Frankenstein or Wolfman or Dracula, where I think you have some lore behind it, some folklore, a heavy folklore, I would say, and they are just creepy in their own way, scary, creepy in their own way.
Yeah.
But when you talk about this movie, it kind of surprises me as someone that loves all the B movies, all the creature movies, all the radiation, monsters that have, dominated this time period. So I'm thrilled, but it kind of shocks me a little bit that it has had such staying power even into today. Does it for you guys too? Does it seem kind of?
He holds a weird position. Like you said, he's not quite our classic monster. He's not.
Yeah.
He's not, stalking the streets of a city or a town at night looking for his next victim. He's more protecting his territory.
Right.
We haven't, especially in our Monster Mash, we haven't seen that yet. Everyone's kind of been out for blood.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like, you've got like Dracula, werewolf, and like the Mummy, and I guess like Frankenstein, but then like this would be like your B squad of the monsters.
Exactly. That's exactly, I think, what comes to mind. It's like, like the second string, so.
But like also like Gilman is like iconic. Like you just pictured like those style movies and you're like, oh yeah, man, it's like the black and white Frankenstein, the Mummy, the creature from the Black Lagoon, and he's just like all over like shirts and he's just timeless.
It's interesting because he has a different fear unlocking. So vampires are purely, from what we know, fiction, and same with werewolves. Like, these creatures are maybe prehistoric remnants or just undiscovered creatures, and that
would you go as far as saying that they're a cryptid?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah. Let us know, SSOSpodcast at gmail.com.
Absolutely.
That is a great question. Yeah, because in a way, he holds a place in reality more so than some of these other monsters.
Yeah, because like there could be something like that out there. We don't know anything about water.
That's exactly. Yeah, I think they did an excellent. Oh yeah.
Except for the shape of it.
Yeah, I thought they and I think one of the reasons for me that it has that is because they do play on that, that fear of the unknown, in the water. And so this film was released in 1954. So their understanding of oceans and waters and species that lived in them was even less than we have today, which is still not a lot.
Not much.
Yeah. So I think that's really cool, and the way they did it, the imagery of it, and I think going back to maybe what we had talked about before about it being an inspiration for Jaws, that Spielberg took some inspiration in the way the filming was done for this movie, because it was less is more kind of thing. I feel like in Black Lagoon, so which was a departure from the other films where it was, a lot of gimmicks and things, for audiences.
Right. And then wasn't Jaws also like released in 3D also?
Oh, was it?
I don't know if it was originally, but it definitely was in the theaters
at some point in 3D. So it's crazy because like Creature was also like the first 3D film and first underwater 3D film ever made, right?
The first 3D underwater. Yep, absolutely. Yep.
And that's crazy in the 50s. Like, I guess that was just all the craze back then, but
it was.
It's interesting.
And it explains a lot of, because I remember before I knew that, some of the way the camera angles and things, when they were underwater and all of a sudden they would just have the, plant life, I guess. I can't think of the word. And you were like, okay, and they would do it multiple times, and you're like, okay, but then it made sense. I was like, oh, I bet that's so cool when you're, if you're watching it in 3D. Yes.
Your face.
And it was so, when I was brushing up on this, I was so jealous because they lived in a large city and they had just done a screening of it in the 3D. And I was like, I would love to be able to watch that. But anyway, so
So would you say that, like, since it was in the 50s, like the Cold War was like definitely like propagandizing, like, or if that's even the correct word, but like having like seeping the propaganda into like films of that era?
100%. It is very hard for you can't deny it. If you love these type movies and you watch more than one, then like I was saying, you'll see a lot of parallels, a lot of involvement with some, government agency, some branch of military, or something coming in. And I think for Hollywood, it was. I mean, undeniably, it was a gold mine.
Oh yeah.
For them, playing off of our fears. But we haven't changed that much even today, when we go to see. Well, I'm speaking more to you guys because I only watch old horror movies, so I can't speak to. Yeah, I can't speak to anything in color and past like the early 70s probably. But it's still, what do we like? We like to be scared, and that's what people take from society around the time, these directors and writers and things like that, to play on what is scaring us, or what would be scary to us at this moment.
They're still doing it, right?
Yeah, I mean,
got a movie called Cold War out right now.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a modern version of Civil War. Sorry, not
Civil War.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but yeah, I do want to watch that. Actually,
the Civil War for us, everyone's waiting for right now, anyway.
Oh man!
But I do want to bring up the point that we were talking about, the 3D and the underwater, and you tie that to the Cold War as well. We're talking the first emergence of like really using submarines as spy tech, and probably having cameras that were underwater, so they're becoming confident. So that just like hopped right over into Hollywood, and they're like, oh, underwater tech, let's make a movie.
You know what's crazy is, like, during World War II, that like, I think it was Germans or like Mussolini's people would use dolphins as like underwater spies.
Yeah, they still do it. They just call it the Russian dolphin, or
in Russia and stuff like that. Yeah,
that's right.
This shit's crazy, man. You can't trust nobody.
You can't trust nobody. Not one dolphin.
Birds and spies and shit.
The pigeons, it's the 5G, and they're just recharging when they land on the wire.
The only funny thing Whitney Cummings has ever said, come at me in the comments, I don't give a fuck, she's not funny.
Come at me in the comments.
The only funny thing she ever said is that, like, if they were going to pick a bird for a spy, why would they pick the only bird that goes... Like, your camera would just be shaking the whole time.
I can't get any usable footage from these things.
Just shoelaces and seeing the concrete.
Yeah. Nice.
But don't trust the birds. Don't trust the dolphins.
Dang, who can we trust?
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything's spying on you. Alexa, Google.
I love hearing the Alexa and Google talk back and forth, though. I love watching those videos.
That's
you see the
funny.
people. But I know there's probably all typed up, but people are like writing in skits for AI to realize that they're AI.
Oh man, this is how we get Terminators.
Yeah, coming to. Like,
somebody's gonna make a terrible joke, or like the one joke, and the AI is gonna be like, "Oh fuck, I'm just a robot." And then they're just gonna make Skynet, and then we're all just gonna die.
Yep, I'm ready for it.
But instead of robots, we're talking about weird fish mutants.
Right.
Amphibious creatures.
So we saw, the Cold War, but then we also saw in this same genre, the radiation. What radiation, would spawn quite a few monsters.
I like Godzilla.
Monsters, heroes. You have the Hulk. You have stuff caused from radiation in this.
Garbage Pail Kids.
Because the atom bomb had been dropped, and then it was unknown, and we're just still learning the long-term damage. So Hollywood's not far off, sadly.
The atomic age.
Yeah, we have no idea what the long-term effects will be, but we know anything that's in its path is gone. So press the button.
Right. So, yeah. One thing that people may not know about this film, but it's a really cool, has a really cool history of how it came to be. It was really almost 10 years in the making over 10 years in the making. But the concept was born at a party that was hosted by Orson Welles. So right off the bat, you want to be there. You wish you could have just
been World of Worlds
serving
guy,
hors
right?
d'oeuvres, anything, yeah. And because I can only imagine the people that were there and the conversations that would have just been unreal. But so essentially, a producer met a cinematographer named Gabriel Figueroa, and he told him about an Amazonian legend, and that there was a fish man that lived in the Amazon who would come out annually to kidnap a woman and take her back to the water with him. He did claim to have photographic evidence, but we don't know if he ever produced that evidence to
I want to see that evidence.
to the producer. Yeah, same.
So, does this help out our cryptid argument? Like, so this is a legend taken and put into the movie form. So maybe not our movie monster as a cryptid, but what else is that then? If that's not like that's cryptid, right?
It was based off of a legend, off a real life legend. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's what cryptids usually are. It's a bunch of stories until somebody finds it.
Pretty wild,
right? And I think I absolutely love folklore and that kind of thing. So I went on a deep dive trying to figure out if I could find a legend or a myth or anything that would match closely sort of to what Figueroa had said. And I didn't find anything that just was an exact match. Not saying it's not out there, but I didn't find it. But I did find something, and I'm going to butcher the name of this, I feel, because there's a lot of R's and close together. But there is a myth from the Amazon that is called Pirarucu. Anybody have any arguments against the saying of that?
Got
Pretty
it.
Good? Okay. So, Pirarucu, and that might be the last time I say it, is actually the name of a massive freshwater fish that is native to the Amazon, and it is scary as hell. Apparently, it's delicious. It is a delicacy there, and they do police the fishing of it like they do, lobsters in Maine, to keep the population, good and healthy and all that. But we are talking about it can be 400-pound fish and can reach 10 feet in length.
It could eat a whole person.
Yeah, I'm not. This
is why I don't want to go in the water. I have no business.
Exactly.
This is the exact reason. My wife.
I have no fish biz. No fish biz.
Nope. I got no webs on the hands.
But can you imagine catching that thing and then you would just feed your whole family forever?
How do you catch that? It's got to be in a net. You're not fighting that thing. You're not fighting.
Yeah, I couldn't see you deep river fishing, like you're doing some swordfish or something.
No, and that's not even to me the scariest part. So it's got the size.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the size, but it also, so they describe it has a python-like body, which I immediately hate because I hate.
So it's just long and snake-like.
Yes.
I feel like an arowana.
And the best, the tongue with teeth, and its skin is tough enough to be piranha-proof. So just soak that.
Piranhas are little assholes, though.
Yeah. So it has the tough skin to be able to withstand that predator.
Jesus Christ. So it is the big dog in the river.
To me,
it's not, I don't want to meet the
fish. What eats that? Exactly. There's always a bigger fish, though.
I know. Fuck, Obi.
The other...
Qui-Gon, sorry, Obi.
Yeah. The other thing, so it kind of... helps also to sort of tie it close to the gillman, is that it does breathe air in the way that humans do. So it does, and there's a scientific, word.
So it has lungs.
That's, so it has to, come up.
For air.
for air, and
Oh man, this
then
thing
it
is
can
like the
hold-
ultimate river predator.
probably better than us, but but it does have the same sort of concept. So very interesting.
Dang. Did you guys know that
Interesting's a word.
this fish is also part of the same family that dates back to like the Cretaceous period from like the dinosaurs? That's like when the T-Rex was around.
Yeah, man. See,
Yes.
we're talking prehistoric stuff, and that who knows what's in that river, man?
Right? It's a literal living dinosaur.
Ugh.
Yeah,
And it's
you know,
always and it
interesting.
wasn't always a fish, right?
Oh yes. Sorry, I was thinking. No, I wanted to because I remembered a fun fact that was just interesting that took this sort of even out of the Amazon. They found in the family of Pirarucu a fossil in I think Wyoming.
Oh damn.
Yeah, which was
Really?
just to me. I always think that's just wild.
We know.
Yeah. So, there, according to the legend, the way that the Pirarucu came to be was he was a man that was part of the Nalas Nation who lived along the Tocantins River in the Amazon. He was a brave warrior. However, that's pretty much where that's really the only good thing apparently anyone would say about him. He was very vain and cruel, despite the fact that his father was known to be extremely kind and the polar opposite of his son. But he once, for example, executed children from a neighboring village for absolutely no reason. They were friendly to his village. They were not at war, nothing like that.
What a dick.
Right? Like,
Yeah, so not loved, but then he had done a lot of other things. So the gods had been watching, him over the course of his life, and finally, just being a great warrior wasn't going to cut it anymore after this. So
killing kids.
For no reason.
yeah. So essentially, Tupa, the god of gods, so the main god, decides to punish him. And Tupa summons the gods of wind and torrents to send a terrible storm while Pirarucu was fishing. So he's close to the water. They send this hellacious sounding storm at him. So he defies that. He laughs at them. He knows what's going on, but he laughs basically in their face. He doesn't care. He's not going to apologize or beg for mercy, anything like that. He's still being himself, apparently. So at that point, Tupa sent the god of wrath and hate, which does not sound like a guy that you want to meet. So what he does is strikes him down with lightning, and he actually strikes him basically in his heart with lightning. So that doesn't kill him in this legend, but even then he's now weakened. Though he still refuses to ask for forgiveness or to feel apparently any type of way, about what he has done with all of this happening. They're literally raining down hate and hell on him, and he's still.
I literally just got shot with lightning, and I still don't give
I'm
no
not
fuck.
sorry. I got nothing to apologize for.
I didn't deserve this at all.
So what happens is the god ends up turning him, basically thrusting him into the river and turning him into a fish. And so that's how we get to the man sort of, or the breathing air like a human, that kind of thing. That's how we kind of get there. And then why I just like this legend to compare to Gilman, because of the piranha proof, and we know Gilman was, you couldn't just take a shot at him, and he, he was able to deflect.
And he breathed.
Yeah.
Breathed air.
So,
yeah. Oh man, such a classic mythological punishment, getting turned into like an animal or something because of your beastful natures.
But why turn him into such a powerful fish? Why not like a minnow or something? Like, why not embarrass him? Like, you make him this like super indestructible man-eating 10-foot long 400-pound fish.
Well, you have to wonder though, if you're looking at it through that lens, is that still him rebelling? I mean, he's a fish, so they've taken away a lot of his power as far as.
But he's like
you
super
know,
fish.
But he's still
Watch me
himself.
get
He's
super
still a
big.
great warrior, and he still has that soul and spirit in him. I don't know, just
Damn. His willpower took on the body of the fish.
right. Yeah.
It can't kill
Which is-
evil.
Nah, not
Exactly,
even lightning.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Crazy.
That's what's getting me, was not even lightning. He's like, nah, I don't need to change my evil ways at all. This means
No.
nothing.
Mm-mm. No.
I'm just trying to fish.
Yeah, that tickled.
Yeah.
Energy.
So yeah. So that's the legend part of it.
Gilman comes
Yeah.
from a real legend. So I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Oh, well, I mean, like I said, that's the closest I could get. It doesn't match the cinematographer's, story. I couldn't find one that aligned with something actually kidnapping women and taking them back. But now I'm going to be on the hunt for it. But that was one that did come up that I thought was really cool. It was worth telling. So, somebody talk about lagoons, because as a landlocked individual,
Yeah,
I don't know anything about lagoons. I live in North Dakota, the farthest from any water ever.
so far from water. I thought Pennsylvania was bad. I was like, oh, I went from Long Island to like surrounded by water to no water. But you're like, your land
Yeah, you really
No,
are. I mean,
worst way.
I've got nothing.
But
I
I
think-
actually had to look this up. I didn't know what exactly a lagoon was. So a lagoon is a shallow body of water that is separated from its larger body of water by like a sandbar or a little island or reef or whatever. So it's not directly connected to its bigger source of water. So it kind of ends up having its own little ecosystem sometimes, and things become isolated and may not be seen with the larger populations in the bigger bodies of water.
Oh,
Yeah.
I remember when we did our cryptids episode, there was like a story about the Wendigo in Minnesota, and it was an island, and there was a lagoon on the island.
That's right. Yeah.
I know what a
Wow.
lagoon is. Thanks, Wendigo.
See,
Still my favorite cryptid / like mythological creature.
It's fucking scary. That's the scariest.
yeah, very scary.
He's like really core shaking, terrifying.
Yeah, and that weird monster from The Ritual, that movie.
Yeah, which is almost like a Wendigo too. It's like a big deer.
Man, upside down. Yeah, such a good movie too.
So lagoons. That's all.
Oh man, yeah, it's pretty much the perfect setting for a monster movie. You have this calm, picturesque,
Absolutely.
nice little lagoon spot. I mean, I'm picturing like a little dinghy boat out there, and you're just fishing or eating a sandwich, painting or something, and then there's this creature
Just
underneath
So-
you.
You are in the jungle, the Amazon jungle, for this movie, so
That's
you know,
fair.
that
Probably not
does-
any of those things that I just mentioned.
And I picture essentially Australia, except in a
Yeah, because
lagoon.
everything
The
wants to kill you in
creatures-
Australia.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we'll talk a little bit more about the Amazon later for sure. Yeah, it's a scary ass place. But for the Gillman himself, like we were saying, we were kind of describing his indestructible body and stuff. So he's got a pretty formidable physical makeup for a guy that lives in an isolated lagoon.
Yeah, I mean, he's 6 feet tall in this film. He is muscular. He can withstand a speeding bullet, and he can live in the water. He can swim very well, as we saw multiple times. But he can come out of the water and breathe on land for extended periods of time as well. So he's able to overpower humans. He's able to outswim you, and I don't know
Yeah, well,
what your options are in the Amazon jungle at that point.
Exactly.
Right.
It's not like that water a lot of times will neutralize the thing that's chasing you. Like if you're
Yeah.
getting chased by zombies, you run into water and like for whatever reason you just stop. But like
Not this guy.
No, go ahead.
Mm-mm.
Go in the water. See what
No,
happens.
do your best.
And then it's
Yeah.
crazy is he's got webbed hands and feet. So like when he's in the water, he's just like zooming around.
Yeah.
Michael Phelps in you.
Oh man, do you think he
Exactly.
like does like the frog kick or like is he like a breaststroke guy? Like how does he swim?
I bet he probably doesn't even. He looks so
No.
effortless.
It did.
It's
It
just
absolutely.
gliding.
Mhm.
And he's got gills on his neck and he's got gills on his torso, which like the gills on the torso always like kind of creep me out a little bit.
Oh yeah, because they're.
Because
They
it's
do
like
it in,
outside lungs.
Yeah.
And they do it in.
I don't know what I'm doing, but yeah, that
I don't know what I'm
I just want to do
doing.
it.
that like creepy.
Yes.
Think about like that part of the body being open, and like gills are gross to start with. Like if you ever like
But,
catch like a
And-
fish and you look at like
mhm.
with all the little
Little
hair
spines
pocket
and
thingies,
hairs and
Yeah.
stuff.
they're gross. So
Mhm.
having those on your side would be pretty fucking gross too. And the fact that he's also covered in, like we said, like indestructible scales. So it's just
Yeah.
this scaled creature, like you just
Amphibian
watch his,
Superman.
like, sides open.
Yeah. And he's got the eyes that are suited better than the humans. They adapt
fish
very
eyes.
well, exactly, to low light conditions and being in the water. Whereas, it's not, I would imagine, us being in the Amazon water, it's not like a nice, clear Mediterranean,
No, it's
ocean.
murky. It's like swampy,
So-
like the Everglades.
Yeah,
Yeah.
places will not be found.
So,
That's for sure. But the costume itself was made by a woman named Millicent Patrick, and she's one of the first women to design special effects for Hollywood. And the suit was groundbreaking. Obviously, we talked about this thing was flexible enough for two actors actually to use above land and below. And when you watch the movie for a movie made in the 50s, he can articulate quite well. If you know anything about like FX and like putting on prosthetics, a lot of times like you're stuck. Like if the
Yeah, you're
fingers go
trapped.
this way, they're that way.
Yeah.
But they do a good job, and they do a lot of like slow zoom in shots on his hands
Mhm.
coming out of the water. And like I'm the kind of person that's looking for like the seams and like how they do it. Is it real? Is it in hand? Is
Yeah.
it just like a prop? But that costume is pretty badass for a 1950s costume.
and did you know that they actually took credit from her, Moreland?
Of course they did.
What?
Moreland? Yeah. I just feel like a lot of diehard fans are going to be like, I can't believe they didn't talk about that. It was shitty. I mean, because she did an amazing
She
job.
definitely deserves credit for that.
But yeah, they actually ended up, and she talked about it much later. But yeah, so
Can we just
a little-
stop and talk about how dope a name Millicent is? Like that's
Yes,
such a sick
I
name.
love it. Absolutely love it.
It's the characteristic of those like older names you just don't really get.
Oh
anymore.
yeah,
Nah.
The substance in names is gone.
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
people are just naming kids like Naruto
Apple.
and shit like that. And Apple.
Yeah.
Nike.
Why'd you name her that? Oh, it's my favorite Gilmore's girl.
Yo, Gilmore
Yeah.
Girls was like a good show. I watched the fuck out of that.
You're that age. Yeah, I'm above it. I know nothing about
Gilmore
Yeah.
Girls, man. I just want Lorelai to be happy.
I was a Dawson's Creek kid.
Gross. I'm sorry. I couldn't get it.
Oh man, Pacey was the shit.
Oh man, I was watching something. It was just like a little clip of Dawson's Creek, but it was like one episode. It was snowing, but like it was just white felt all over the ground.
And
I
you're
was like,
stepping on
why
it.
did we believe this?
TV magic, man. You just don't pay.
Speaking of TV magic, though, back to the suit. So it was, like you said, Lee, 2 performers, 1 creature. The creature was played by 2 actors. Rico Browning for the underwater scenes and all that cool stuff, and Ben Chapman did all the land scenes. And you could really say that the dual performance added to the film's uniqueness and its visual style for that time period.
Yeah, they did say the only flaw in the on land was that he couldn't see very well out of it, and so he ends up, smacking Kay's head against a rock. One of when he's carrying her on land. Yeah,
or he could just be really getting into character. Smacked her head on the rock.
She's totally fine, but yeah.
While you watch it, that like some of the movements are like done blindly. Like there's a scene when he like turns and walks into the water. And he kind of just
it's like a like when you got like a crack in your neck, you're like,
I hope it works.
Yeah.
And take the step. It's like, oh, okay. But again, for
that was funny. I could see that after I had read that. I was like, that does explain.
But like I said, man, prosthetics, when you put masks on and stuff, it's changes a lot of your physical.
And think about like how much prosthetics have come since the 1950s.
I love it. I wish I went to school for that kind of shit.
Like prosthetic, yeah,
like
it's
FX.
amazing.
This is what I love about spooky season, because like you just go to Spirit Halloween and try a bunch of different shit.
Yeah. So let's pause real quick. Let's talk about that. Are you guys dressing up for anything for Halloween?
Oh man, I've been playing around with a couple ideas. Oliver's gonna be Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas. I already got his little costume.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh man. And then like my friend was telling me I should do Kratos, but like from the newest God of War games, like the Viking guy.
Yep.
But I don't know what I want to do. I haven't really decided. Since like he's gonna be Oogie Boogie, I was thinking about being one of like Lock, Shock, or Barrel, one of the little kids. Yeah.
I always want to try to do the same thing as your kid. My kid's just being a cookie, so she's doing it.
Aww.
She's like, you could be the Cookie Monster. I'm like,
nah. Sends out a weird message.
Yeah, and it's also just not Halloween for me. Like, me and Christy used to do like I was the Joker one year, and I put like the prosthetics on, and the whole wig and everything. Like, I get into Halloween.
Yeah, I think not last year, but the last time I dressed up for Halloween, I did like a possessed priest. So I did like corpse paint, and I found a pentagram that looked like it cut into your forehead, and I turned it upside down, and I had horns. It was so sick.
I don't know what I'm doing yet, but if I know by next time we record, which is probably gonna be like a couple days, I think I might come on in costume.
I thought about it. I was like, oh man, I got to come in costume one day.
Either next episode, maybe 2 episodes, because that'll be released like
closer.
Right before Halloween.
Yeah.
Like the day before.
Yeah, because we don't have anybody doing anything this year, so I haven't thought about it. I'm bummed. I'm very bummed.
Man.
You can just paint your face as like a clown or something.
Swamp witch it up.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Creepy clown. You could be like
creepy clowns from outer space.
Oh God. Yeah.
All right.
We'll see.
Enough off trackness. Maybe we'll be dressed up the next time you see us, guys. Who knows?
Oh man. Yeah, I think I'm gonna. That's gonna be sick. So where were we? Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Well, we kind of talked about all his physical attributes, and we kind of talked a little bit about his territory. So in the movie, we kind of meet Gilman as the audience as a hand. Like he's a mysterious hand found by a bunch of, I don't know if they're necessarily archaeologists or explorers, but they're in the Amazon to document flora and fauna and do what,
herbologists, scientists, people do. Yeah.
So they do find this fossilized hand, right, Jen? It's like a version of his hand.
Yes, and so is it ever clear? I'm kind of fogging out on how they ended up in the Amazon for that. I'm not sure. I think they, like most movies, skip that part. But
they were just there.
You just have to go with it when you watch these.
The doctor,
just trust the process.
The doctor kind of is talking to her in the beginning, and like their conversation is floating around like discovery and conservation.
Yeah,
but it's like a very much like we're starting
Broad
the movie
strokes.
and you're like looking at the scenery and you're not really focused intently on like their conversation about the environment.
No.
But the environment is the Amazon jungle, so they have a lot of territory.
No, man. If I was a cryptid, I would definitely hide in the Amazon, just like Titan Boa.
That man, you don't even need a fictional character in the fucking Amazon. The shit's so
Nah.
crazy.
It's just big for no reason there.
Yeah.
Fucking wild.
So yeah, they
So-
go on their expedition and they unknowingly disturb the Gillman's habitat, which does not
Typical.
work out well for many of them.
When does it ever?
Yeah, we have
Meddling
the
ways
usual
should not be
survivors, but
meddling.
Right. So the creature later identified as a relic of an ancient species that survived in isolation, adapting to its surroundings in the murky waters of the Amazon, was pretty specific. Details of its evolution are just, they're not there. It's just like, hey, so this is just some random offshoot species and this is all you get.
yeah, you just go with that. You just roll with
1950s
that.
Batman. Like we were kind of saying, we're just leaving it up to the imagination of like radiation or isolation or
Mhm.
just new
Undiscovered species is
Yeah.
speci.
Just- Who knows?
But like it also like has intelligence and it's able to like
Mhm.
understand and reacting to human behavior. So like has this species like always been alongside humanity, or is it like an
Exactly.
offshoot?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like super isolated humanoid
Hmm.
now
Mhm.
lives in the Amazon. Yeah, I didn't think about that really either. I kind of always I went with the prehistoric, like it was a creature, not a human. But why not?
See, now this guy is getting more layers and getting more
Ooh,
Yeah.
attached.
hmm
theory.
Okay.
So we learned that a lagoon is separated from its larger body of water. What if it's an offshoot of a mermaid? But
Ooh.
because of its smaller environment, it had to adapt and like get onto land and hunt on land and grew legs. So now it's like merman, but
I'm a merman.
I think everybody was doing that.
It's merman, not mermaid.
random theory thought.
It could be.
But like we were talking about earlier too, a big theme of this is like environmentalism, and the Amazon today is also, at danger. We're not great as humans to any particular part of the planet, but the Amazon is particularly important.
Yeah, it's where like most of our
Yeah.
oxygen comes from.
Yeah, it has the nickname the lungs of Earth. So
I kind of like to breathe. I don't know about you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
I'm pretty partial to it.
that's the big number. You're talking about 20% of all of the world's oxygen is produced in the Amazon. Like,
That's amazing.
if we lost 20% of a population, that's a huge number.
Yeah.
And speaking of huge numbers, the total square mileage of the Amazon is 2.1 million square miles.
Jesus. Or
That's just-
5.5 million square kilometers if you're
If you're
not from
Canadian.
America.
And use the better of the systems.
This far superior
Right,
metric
yeah.
system.
The very simple, straightforward
Yeah.
metric system. As well as the Amazon River is a whole nother like ball game of massiveness. The Amazon River is the longest river globally. It stretches approximately 6,400 kilometers, which is 4,000 miles. 4,000
That's just
miles
yeah.
long.
That is so
One
long.
one river, just
one river. Yeah.
It spans through 9 different countries. A majority of it, I think, is in Brazil. But it also dispenses some of the most amount of water out of any river in the world. Like, I have a hard time understanding where the water is coming from. Like,
right?
to be like, this is very ignorant of me, but like in my mind, in North America, most of our water is like glacial water from the tops of mountains and rain runoff and stuff like that.
Right.
I don't know. Is it like
Ocean
Pacific
water
to Atlantic? Does it turn brackish and then fresh and then brackish and dump into the water?
I
don't know. I should have probably looked it up. But
somebody
exactly.
explain how rivers
Yeah,
work. SSOSpodcast at gmail.com.
How do rivers work? Please, I need to know. And that's like terrain. So we talked about how massive it is and the river. Now you have to populate this massive jungle, and you do that with a bunch of deadly shit, of course.
Very scary.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah, because we shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
agree.
good point.
100%.
Exactly.
We do
Fill it
not
with a bunch
belong
of shit that wants to kill people.
Yep. The plants will kill you.
Yes.
So it's dense, obviously, with plant life. It's got different layers. I don't know how much people know about this part of it, but like there's zones of the Amazon where like other species don't cross. So you can almost picture it like the ocean, like how the pressure and the air is different in each depth of the ocean. It's literally the same in the Amazon jungle.
Yeah.
As you go up, there's different species. You run into different plants. You run into different animals. Some of the plants that you run into, one's called the strangler fig, which I think is a pretty cool name. So
It is cool name.
strangle the other plants in its area to fight for dominance to get a better spot to grow. You also get the strychnine tree, which
The
Sounds
Tech
good.
9 tree?
strychnine, strychnine is lethal. Obviously, most of you know it as a straight up poison. It is actually part of what
Tech 9.
poison dart frogs get their poison from. So living amongst these trees, it kind of rubs off on their oily skin, and it's a little cute, colorful frog. And the next year,
Yeah, because if anything's colorful, that means it's going to kill you.
tell that to my wife. So the frog technically is not the thing that's poisonous, it's its environment. The other animals are...
I thought the frog always just like secreted poison. I didn't know it just
I did too. I didn't know that.
the secretion on its skin and its environment, what it eats and all that stuff. So
See, I don't need to watch anything narrated by Morgan Freeman. I just got Lee. I just need Lee.
that's me. It's quite an honor. It's my whole life to be Morgan Freeman. The animals themselves are top-notch predators. We're talking the black caiman, which is one of the larger caiman. Really scary. If you don't know a caiman, picture a crocodile, an alligator. They're kind of in between size there. Anacondas, no introduction necessary for most.
Nope.
And jaguars. And if you know anything about a jaguar, they're fucking scary. Like, these are big cats. They're the third biggest cat. So you got your lion, your tiger, you got
And your
jaguar.
bears?
No bears. I shouldn't say that. I don't know. There might be bears in the Amazon.
An Amazonian bear.
But what's different about the jaguar versus the other big cats? So when other big cats hunt, 90% of these cats go for a kill shot at the throat.
Mm-hmm.
They'll hold on. You watch a tiger take down a water buffalo. It's just holding onto its throat, waiting for it to suffocate. Very minimal energy. The jaguar has a signature kill. So he's literally like a serial killer with like a death shot. It will only crush its prey's skull.
Oh.
If you get attacked by a jaguar, your skull's getting crushed.
So he just like bites your head?
Yep. They are known for attacking caiman, crocodiles. Like they just
they give no fuck.
Catch that shit, crack you open like an egg. So
Damn, I didn't know Bagheera was so fierce.
yeah, jaguars are no joke. Like, big cats terrify me. I've been in the vet field. I've fought many a little cat. To know the damage that like a 20-pound cat could inflict on a full-grown human. Like, first of all, they could kill you. Like, a cat can kill you. by scratching you. Like you can get infected. Like
That's
it's terrible. Yeah, like you can die. On top of the fact that they'll just turn you into like shredded paper because they're fur and weapons. That's all a cat is. Every angle of a cat is weaponized.
Yeah, and their tongues are like all barbed and stuff to get the meat off the bones.
Yep. No, not really to get the meat off the bones, but
the lions.
It's more of a grooming thing. But
whatever.
I'm sure it may help. It may help. Like, just lick it enough to just come off. But you get to the size of 130 pounds, 200 pounds.
Yeah. I would not want that cat making biscuits
skull
on me.
Crushing? Yeah, no.
And I think one of the most terrifying things, which may lend some of its eeriness to our monster of today, is you will not see this thing before it kills you. You're not going to see it. I probably will add a picture or two into this, and I will ask you to find the jaguar in the picture. And if you can find it within 10, 15 seconds, I'll give you a sticker.
A free sticker and a shout out.
Mail you a sticker. I'll drop your at in the comments. So I just wanted to throw that in there because the Amazon jungle is absolutely one of the most terrifying places on the planet. And now we're throwing in an amphibious humanoid monster.
Jesus Christ.
Sleep well tonight, guys.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like also like big tarantulas and shit like that, and ants, piranha.
Bullet ants, piranhas. Yeah, there's all like everything's trying to kill you. Like you said, it's like Australia.
Yeah, I did see
steroids. Yeah.
I can't remember what documentary or show this was, but it was like a tribe in the Amazon, and like they would put like these wicker oven mitts on their hands, but they had like the crazy ants.
So I don't know the name of the tribe, but yes, it's their coming of age ritual for their men, their warriors, their hunters. So they weave grass gloves essentially, and they anesthetize bullet ants with like a concoction of native plants to sedate them, so they're manipulable. They take them and they put their heads inside that glove that they made. Wait till the ants wake up and are all pissed that their heads are now stuck in a fucking glove, and then they slip the hands into the glove for an extended period of time, and these guys have to just take it, and it's to the point where like they're passing out. They're,
it's also crazy because they use bullet ants as like stitches too.
Their jaws are so strong that if they bite you and you kill them, they'll clamp on.
Yeah, and you just like twist their body away from their head, and then you have like little stitches.
Oh no.
Yeah, so there's over 400 indigenous tribes to the Amazon, with a lot of them like not even being contacted by you.
Jesus.
Ever.
It's also crazy that 20% of it is still uncharted.
Yeah, again,
like even with like all of our satellites and shit like that, we don't know.
No, you can't see it because of the canopy. There's just
so dense.
Wild.
Yeah, it's really kind of a wonder. Is the Amazon jungle? The river might be a wonder of the world. I don't know if the whole.
It should be.
Yeah, I think it's earned it.
Right.
Just sitting there like, when am I gonna get a fucking a blue check?
Right. When am I gonna get verified?
Yeah. All right, back to our Gill Man.
So essentially, the Gill Man reflects a mix of humanity's well-justified fears of the unknown, especially if they're coming from what we just described in the Amazon, and our fascination with regions and places that have not been explored. Although I think they can just keep that unexplored, that 20% or whatever you said that was not. I don't think we need to know.
I have no reason being there.
No, I have no need for that.
Yeah, you would think by now, like, people would understand, like, if it's not explored, there's a good reason.
There is a good reason.
That way.
Yeah.
But no, we can't stop fucking with things.
Not at all.
We can't. So the creature has often been interpreted as a symbol of nature's untamed wilderness, which fair, I think.
Yeah. Nature is beautiful and terrifying at the same time.
Exactly. So he's out of place in the modern world, but he's still very much a threat and dangerous. He's not just outdated. He's still very relevant.
Yeah,
in a powerful way. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Especially after coming to life in the aftermath of World War II and the midst of the Cold War. He kind of represents that tension between science, nature, and the unknown. He's portrayed as this scary figure that is stalking the people that are in his habitat. But from his perspective, dude's in my home.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is this a castle?
It's a reverse Shrek.
Castle state?
Oh, yeah.
Like castle law? Yeah, reverse Shrek, you're in my home. Hey, ooh, maybe there's some Gilman in Shrek.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
See? It's such a classic that it infects other movies.
It does. It really does.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting because it's also like a reflection of like that classic Beauty and the Beast trope that you see in pretty much any monster movie where it's like, oh man, I'm a tragic, horrible looking, deformed monster beast. But then there's like some woman that's always like, no, baby, you're not. You're beautiful. I just want to save you from this life of a monster.
I can fix it.
Yeah. So like, what's up with that?
I mean, there is some sympathy to those. I don't know if I'm the only one that always felt bad for Godzilla, for example. And
I remember when I saw the Godzilla movie in the 90s, and like on our way home, I was so upset because they killed Godzilla. I was like, why would they do that to a mother? Because of all the Godzilla eggs.
Yeah. But it is. You do, because, and I think, it is. It's because I look at, Gilman, Godzilla, and then a lot of the other, other creatures that were created the same way. It's like, you did nothing wrong, in a lot of these movies, it was, radiation. It was our fault that you even, ended up like this. And then you were doing fine, and then somebody discovered you, and now you're an evil monster, and we have to
and you're
kill
just getting shot at, like
Yeah.
Yes.
Just going about your day yesterday, and now you're just getting shot at.
I mean, Godzilla, like, you can't help it. He's tall. He knocks over some buildings. Get over it,
I'm just walking.
Built in there. You got King Kong, same thing. Like, let's rip this thing out of its home and just throw it in Manhattan and see what happens.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know how that was a good plan. Because, like, if you took a regular gorilla and let it go in Manhattan, it would fuck shit up. Like,
it would not work.
be good.
You can take one that's the size of a skyscraper and you're just like, look, I have chains on it on stage. It's not going anywhere, guys.
Thanks, Jack Black.
Oh, yeah.
That was terrible. That movie was bad.
It was. It was really
The
bad.
original King Kong, it's where it's at.
Most of the originals are the best most of the time.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of originals, like, let's stack our man up against what we've talked about so far. So on our Monster Mash, we've talked about Dracula, and we've talked about the werewolf. We haven't got to Frankenstein yet. That's coming next week or the week after, and we'll be talking about the Mummy too. So when we get to those, we'll add them onto this list. Personally, for me, he stacks up pretty well. Like, we've been talking about it now for an hour, and I'm trying to figure out how a werewolf or a vampire would take this guy out, and it's not a lot of ways.
I mean, yeah, because like he's got piranha safe skin, but like would that mean like he couldn't like get bitten by a werewolf and or vampire?
I think vampire, no.
Yeah, and I don't think there would be a benefit for a vampire. Like, a vampire bites more for like the blood and the sustenance. Like,
yeah, and I couldn't see his blood being great.
Yeah, no, fishy and swampy.
Yeah, and just very sluggish. Like,
you guys ever eat alligator?
Yeah, it's so good.
Yes,
I do love me
it's
some
actually not bad.
That's what I would imagine. His skin,
some
and,
fried gator.
Yeah, like gator, swampy, tough.
Yeah.
I don't think a vampire has much. And there's no limitation, right? There's like the werewolf has the clock he's against. He's always against the moon. And same with vampire. Like if it's not
At
twilight, this motherfucker's not out during the day.
Nah.
Right.
And this guy's always strong. He's always monstered up.
So he's
And
just
water,
tipping over coffins and
land,
Yeah, vampires can't cross water or some shit like that. Yeah.
or at least they're not going to swim as long as they can.
I don't know one vampire that swims.
Most dogs
That's
don't love water right off the bat.
They
You gotta
couldn't
kinda
swim
train
as
them.
long or as fast.
Yeah. They don't have web hands.
No, not at all.
No.
Werewolf could just
They'll
doggy
just
paddle.
hold it underwater. It needs its air.
Yeah.
So.
But a vampire wouldn't because it's already dead.
Oh.
That's
true.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long fight then. I think,
But-
between them.
Yeah, I think it would just come out to like pure strength at that point.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, I just think the vampire wouldn't care enough about Gilman.
Yeah.
The creature, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe, but
I don't know.
I think definitely it would become to
Constant
like the
Squad.
Wolfman and the creature would be fighting just because of like animal instinct.
yes.
I don't know. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Down in the comments. If Gilman's got your vote, let us know. It's a tough one. I might be.
It is. And I wouldn't have thought that would be, he
Gilman
would
can't-
stack up that well. But
Right?
Yeah.
after you talk about him and really think about it, I mean, it's tough too.
King Kong ain't got shit on me.
I'll run Malibu.
Yeah. So, I mean, that kind of brings us to the modern day takes on Gilman. I like calling him Gilman too.
I do, yeah. It
Yeah,
feels like
was
he's
that
like more
Oprah's
approachable.
Person?
Huh?
Or like Regis and Kathy Lee's person? Who was that? Gilman.
I
Yeah,
have no idea.
I think that was. Modern day takes on the legacy of Gilman.
Yeah. I'll let you guys
The
talk
Shape of
about
Water.
Shape of Water, yeah.
Yeah.
The Shape of
I
Water
mean-
is good. I don't love the movie. I think it's too much. I think the charm of like the monster and the woman is taken away in like the modern world. There's too much animation and too much. I don't know. It doesn't feel as comfortable for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Something
one's like
off
way
for me.
more like depth and sympathy. It's like in the original film, like Gilman, he was just this misunderstood guy, and he was like a closed off species or a cryptid, and in The Shape of Water, it was just more portrayed as like a romantic figure. The whole, oh no, I'm a monster, but I could be loved.
Yeah,
type thing.
He seemed to want it much more. Like it was a different feel. But other movies like Hellboy has a version of an aquatic dude in it. who's
Abraham?
very similar. Yeah, and
Yeah, he's my favorite character.
he's pretty dope. I was gonna say he's a pretty cool character. He's intelligent.
Abe Sapien.
Yeah, and he's got like the aqua mask thing, so he can like breathe on land and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I did like that movie.
Yeah, that was good. Most of the Hellboys are good. There's a brand new one I haven't seen yet.
I haven't seen the newest one.
Yeah, but you also get influences into movies like Aquaman and the comic books of Aquaman. Not as lined up as The Shape of Water or the character in Hellboy, but you get a protagonist that's purely aquatic that is very vested in saving his environment. Like Aquaman's thing is kind of in the comic books, especially, is like, you're not going to get me to do this unless it involves the ocean and the fish. And,
Yeah.
those are his
I
people.
don't care about land stuff.
Yeah,
I've got fish biz. I've got fish biz going on.
And if you've played The Last of Us 2, there's some notes in there that kind of tie into Gilman and what lurks underwater, and that eeriness of like going in water and not being able to see and out of your environment. You can't breathe. You're not a great swimmer compared to the things that live in the water. So, and we said Jaws earlier, so you can see throughout cinema history, this monster's had a lot of influence. Like, again, it's a weird flex.
Yeah.
You don't think about him as being the dude that's influenced Aquaman and Jaws and all these like things that we reference in pop culture
all the time,
almost on a daily basis.
Yeah. So shout outs to the creature from the Black Lagoon, man.
Word,
Absolutely.
Holding his own.
He is.
B Squad holding up.
Yeah, he may be getting. He
might get his call up to the majors, huh?
It might happen. We'll have to see at the end of this series, after we do our Frankenstein's monster and the Mummy.
I can't wait.
I'm trying to just run through my head real quick. It's gonna be hard for everybody, I think. He's one of those sleepers, man. I think in a bracket,
he might take the whole bracket.
Yeah, you're laughing at the dude that picked him. You're laughing at him, but like now the bracket's narrowing. The name's still fucking there, and you're like, holy shit. Again, guys, I love covering these monsters. It's so much fun. I love talking about like the stuff that we grew up on, the stuff that influenced the stuff that we grew up on. If you guys, like I said, are picking a camp, you have to let us know. You have to put it in the comments. You have to follow us so you can watch the other videos and find out how your boy or girl stacks up. I want to do this again, probably next Halloween. I think we'll open it up a little bit more. We'll probably have some more
like ghosts and stuff.
Ghosts and
zombies.
Freddy, Jason, kind of open it up to a little bit.
Like a Monster Mash bracket of like who could.
I
dig that.
Yeah,
I think it'll be it's fun. Like I love.
Who's going to be the king of the monsters?
We'll have to see. You'll have to watch. You have to continue to watch to find out.
And the way you do that is like and subscribe and turn on those notifications for Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, everything.
Yes. Guest, if you'd like to be a guest, let us know. We're looking for people with any kind of paranormal experience, supernatural experience. If you have any kind of gift, if you are a medium, we're looking to talk to you. If you've had an NDE, I'm still particularly interested in talking to you.
Absolutely.
I am also, and I think this stands for you two as well, very, very interested in talking to someone of faith. Whatever your faith is, I'm not here to tell you that it's not real. I am just dying to get the perspective on the stuff that we talk about from someone that lives in that world. I think that'd be really interesting.
I would kill to talk to an exorcist.
An exorcist, yes. If you like that, I'm going to shout out another podcast. We don't do this a whole lot, but there is a podcast called The Exorcist Files. Again, I have my issues with the Catholic Church, but there's got to be something somewhere because there's too many people talking about the same thing. And this podcast in particular does a really good job. And if you did listen to it and you're listening to this, give me your feedback on that too, because there's some things in there that I question. So check it out if you haven't already. Anything else from you two?
No,
man, it's just great to be back in the saddle after 2 weeks off.
Yeah, it is.
I was away. I know we do video magic here. You can't tell that I was away for 2 weeks. I was away out of the country for 2 weeks. We'll talk about that on probably a side quest.
Yeah.
And after that, we'll do some of the cooler things I saw while I was out of the country. But thank you so much, Jen, for our deep dive into the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Thank you guys. It was a great discussion.
That was super cool.
It was a great discussion. Yeah.
I didn't know anything about him other than the black and white movie, and I had like a little action figure of him as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I've watched the movie like twice in my entire life, and I never stacked them up. I never put any eggs in the basket. So hopefully this did the same for you. He's
going to be a contender.
Yeah.
All right, guys, stay strange, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
If you would like to join us as a guest, suggest a topic, or have a story you want us to share, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at SSOSpodcast@gmail.com. For more behind-the-scenes updates and exclusive insights about SSOS, make sure to follow us on social media. And don't miss out on the fun. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, thank you for listening to the Secret Society of Strangers podcast. This show is an independent production, researched and crafted by our passionate team. But we couldn't do it without all of you. We truly appreciate your support. Embrace the unknown, for not all secrets are meant to be kept. Farewell, strangers.